All right, so now that we know how to do unit rates, we can use them to do some useful comparisons. So for this example here, we have two players. Player A scores 50 points in 9 games, and player B scores 260 points in 36 games. So we want to know which player scores at a higher rate. So we can calculate the unit rates of each. So player A, we said, is 50 points per 9 games. So if we do 50 divided by 9 on our calculator, and here they've rounded to the nearest hundredth, which seems reasonable. It gives us a reasonable comparison of the two numbers. So there we get 5.56 points per game. And then player B, if we do 260 divided by 36 on our calculator, we'll get 7.22 points per game. So typically in a sort of average game then, we're finding that player B is scoring a few more points. So we can conclude that player B scored at a higher rate. So let's do one of our own. So Hassan scored 25 goals in 8 games. So let's write that down. Let's get a unit rate there, or at least get started on it. So we've got 25 goals. Oh dear, 25 goals per 8 games. And Lee scored 52 goals in 18 games. So we want to know which player scored at a higher rate. So let's calculate the unit rates for each. So 25 divided by 8 on my calculator. And I was asked a great question in classes, how do you know how far to round on these? And we don't really. I get an answer of 3.125. Let's just write out that whole answer. 3.125 goals per game. And then let's do the next one. So we've got 52 divided by 18. You want to go far enough in your rounding that you can see if there's a difference. Here I've got 2.8 repeating goals per game. So in this case, if I had rounded to the ones position, I would have got 3 goals per game for each, and I wouldn't know who scored better. As long as I've rounded to the tenths position or further out, then I will know. I will know that Hassan actually scored at a higher rate. So there's some judgment here in how far you're rounding. Typically rounding to the tenths or hundredths position should be fine. You just want to round far enough down that you can see if there is a difference. So Hassan scored at a higher rate. Okay, and so let's get into now. So that's one example of a unit rate. Another example of a unit rate is a unit price, where we're doing the price for per unit of some kind of food. And so what we want to do here, dollars are always going to be on the top, or money, I should say, is always going to be on the top. So we're going to have the cost divided by the total number of units. So for example, if we're told 8 ounces of cream costs $1.53, so we're going to have $1.53 per 8 ounces. Then we can do that division. So if you do $1.53, or here they've converted it to cents, so that's 153 cents divided by 8, we get 19.125, so we can round to 19 cents per ounce. Okay, now to do that conversion from the dollars to the cents, remember every dollar is 100 cents. So if you have a number in dollars, that means to get to cents, you have to move your decimal place 2 over to the right. So $1.53, or yeah, would be the same as 153 cents. Okay, we want to find the unit price for 20 pounds of potatoes for $3.98. I need to update these notes because let me know if you can find 20 pounds of potatoes for $3.98. I can't unless they're in my garden. Okay, so we've got $3.98, and that is per 20 pounds. The symbol for pounds is LB for some reason. Okay, so we've got $3.98 per 20 pounds. So we're going to do that division on our calculator. And we're still in dollars because I haven't converted to cents. So I get $0.199 per pound. Or I can think of this easier in cents. So I'm going to move that decimal place 2 over to the right to convert to cents to get 99.9 cents per pound. Or if we round up, 20 cents per pound. Pretty good price on potatoes. All right. Why don't you try the next time? So this time we've got 12 soda cans, cost $4.98. So see if you can find the price per can of soda. Okay, and let's try this one together. So we're always going to put the money on top. So $4.98 per 12 cans. So now we can do that division in our calculator. And we get 0.415, or let's round to 0.42 per can, which is the same thing as 42 cents per can. Okay. And last one, we can get 25 pounds of dog food for $14.99. So you want to know the price per pound. So pause the video and see if you can find the price per pound of this dog food. Okay, and let's do this one together. So it's $14.99 per 25 pounds. Okay, now if you want, it might be easier to convert that to cents before you do the division. So let's try it that way. So this would be the same. I'm going to move my decimal place over 2 to the right. So this is 1,499 cents over 25 pounds. Now we can do that in our calculator. And we get 59.96 cents per pound. Now our directions said to round to the nearest cent per unit. So that's going to be 60 cents per pound.